Hey everyone, welcome to Saturday Night Popcorn. This is Jason.
And this is Kai, and we have another great discussion for you today. The movie of the day is Like Water for Chocolate from a great year, 1992.
Yeah.
I want to give everyone, it's older if you want to consider 1992 older. Still want to give everyone a spoiler warning before we get into it, and I'll give a brief description of the film before we start talking about it. In a forgotten Mexican village, tradition prevents Tita from marrying the man she loves, Pedro. Instead, her controlling mother insists that Tita remain single to take care of her in her old age. Despite her heartache, Tita discovers a unique talent for cooking. As she prepares meals, her emotions become infused into the food. When Pedro marries Tita's sister, their forbidden love persists, and the dishes she creates become a powerful expression of her feelings. This film beautifully weaves love, passion, and magical realism against the backdrop of an early 20th century Mexico.
I think that's a very poignant kind of summary of the movie and
Yeah.
stuff.
And I'm
But
glad they didn't have her sister's name in it because I would have destroyed
yeah,
that. Every time it came on the screen, I was like,
at first I
yeah.
thought it was like, is it Gertrude? And then
No, I know that one. That one wasn't bad. It's the other sister, the sister that married Pedro.
I forget what the sister's name was.
It's like Rosa something.
Yeah, right? Okay.
I just kept seeing it and being like, yeah, I don't want to butcher that. Let me stay clear.
So Patty gave me some like insights before we started watching this movie, and to give everyone kind of like the like, I've seen this movie, I've seen it once before, but we are kind of like trying to watch some like more kind of Mexican based movies for this month, and so this movie is like a full on Mexican story. This movie is based on a book called Like Water for Chocolate, which came out in 1989. And so Patty was saying that Patty and my mom have read the book and loved the book and everything.
Oh wow!
And what's funny is
89 or
that
99?
89.
Right? Okay.
89, and then the movie came out in 92.
92.
And I was like, well, that's a quick turnaround. And so what we found out, Patty was looking it up before we started watching the movie, is that the director of the movie is the husband or the spouse at that time of the person that wrote the book. And so the
you had the
guy,
insight.
yeah, so that's why I was like, man, the guy probably was sitting there like as she's like writing the book, like, oh, this could be kind
Looking
of
over his shoulder,
yeah.
like, that's a good one right there. I'm gonna make this into a movie. You know that, right?
Patty said that the director initially figured out that, all right, let's make a movie. He wanted a woman to direct the movie, but it just so happened where he wanted his wife to direct the movie, but his wife was like, oh yeah. So he decided to direct the movie, but his wife was there at the shots and stuff, and like while doing the movie, just to kind of make the story concise or like just kind of see the vision. But she said that also that the director of the film wanted to do the directing because he was tired of being like cast as a bandito in Mexican films and stuff, so or like whatever. So he was an actor. But yeah, so it's like Patty has like this movie kind of like it embodies that like you can break tradition. And so Mexicans, and I think a lot of like culturally based people, like there's a lot of traditions in our cultures and stuff, and it's like you have to like stick to that tradition. Where this one, it seems like a very like obscure tradition, and or like not even obscure, where it's like
insane.
Like why? Like just because I was born last, I have to take care of you now.
Like you decided to have me, now I got to take care of you.
Yeah,
like,
right, and I'm just because I'm not a dude too.
Yeah.
So it's like it's going against, not going against that tradition, is but being able to kind of like say like, no, that tradition doesn't make sense anymore. Let's kind of like do something different and stuff. And so, and she also said, or like we kind of see it, it's also an examination of the Mexican Revolution. And so that's what's the like the outside conflict from the bubble of the ranch. You see that sort of the Mexican Revolution is happening, and one of the sisters becomes one of the revolutionary people, and so
she was thugging. She was thugging
after she like has like a crazy like, I'm just gonna run off
I'm gonna run away.
into
Yeah.
the desert and stuff, and someone's gonna snatch me up and stuff and take me into
A
the
rebel
revolution.
found me and we married, and now I'm the general of his crew. It's like, okay.
But I don't know. But that summary kind of talked about like the connection between food
Mm,
and that's what I loved the most. I think was just seeing the main characters kind of like I like those scenes of making the food, kind of like the scenes with like the grandmother Nacha
I have a
to to
question
like
about that.
to like do the food with them. So that was like my
Yeah.
favorite part of that.
So they didn't realize Nacha was gonna die after she ate raw eggs in her old age.
I don't know, like that's
Like she dipped her finger in raw egg like cake batter, and I was like, Nacha's gone. And then she passed away. I was like, Nacha, come on.
I should tell Patty like, do you think it was the eggs that killed her? Most likely, right?
Yeah. Her body can't handle that. She was a sweet old lady, but she was an old lady.
but but yeah, like what did you like about this movie?
I think it was the food. I think it was them showing like the love and the passion it takes to create a meal for family.
Hmm.
I really enjoyed that. Even though Tita was just tortured her entire life by her mother, she still found that solitude and that enjoyment in cooking for her family. And that was my favorite part of the film, like watching that. Because as I was watching it, there wasn't like cinematography wise, there wasn't anything that kind of stood out. Like, oh, that was an amazing shot.
Hmm.
It was just consistent, and they were like well thought out shots, but they were consistent. But there was nothing like, oh man, that was a great choice. But when they were filming the process of making a meal, I think that's where they really did well.
Yeah, because they kind of highlighted
The
like
ingredients and
she was like
yeah,
grinding the stone and stuff, and they have the big pots and stuff, and like
hmm
it's a very old rustic kitchen too, where it's like everyone's kind of in the kitchen kind of doing their
yeah,
thing. The little ones, there's that scene where like they're splashing water on the comal to see if it's hot
yeah.
enough for things and stuff.
And there was that nice little close up of the water bubbling. Yeah,
Yeah, so
hmm
I think it's like the director or the cinematographer, maybe they're brand new to like the director for sure was brand new to
hmm
making films, but it's like, hey, let's do these like very important shots of the food. Let's
yeah.
bring an emphasis to the food. I think the only shot that I saw where like that looked different and it was an interesting shot
hmm
was the beginning when Pedro first told Tita that I love you. That there was that scene where like she walked through the door on the bottom level and it kind of zoomed out and she walked up the stairs to that top
Oh
level,
yeah,
and so I was like, that's a pretty nice shot. That's kind
yeah.
of like a nice shot to kind of show like, oh, it's like let's expand the shot there. But other than that, like you said, like there's nothing really that like goes to show you that like, oh, this is like the cinematographer was like, let's do something different or let's do something unique.
Do you
um
think do you think a tradition like this could still occur this day, or do you think a woman in Tita's place would just rebel like Tita did just earlier on?
no, I think Patty and I were talking, it's like sadly this sort of still gets pushed on a lot of like, especially with Mexican or like the Hispanic side of us,
hmm
where I think we do see it quite a bit still, where it's like it's not necessarily the actual statement that like you're the last one, you're gonna
Yeah,
take care of me till you die, you can't get married. No, I think that like people still have their liberties to do things, but there's still that expectation. I think that like, oh, you need to think about the family only.
it's like an unspoken thing.
Yeah, it's like more of like it's that guidance where it's like, oh, like is that decision not for the family or is that just for you? And
Yeah,
so it's like the selfishness, and it's like I think that's also that where it's like you define it as like a selfish choice, but it's like
yeah.
no, like I just want to make a choice for myself.
Yeah.
and I think it still does exist, sadly. And in Mexico, I don't know, but in the Americas, I think you would still see it in like a subtle way, where it's like it's more of it's an expectation, like, oh,
Okay.
can you go serve all of them food and everything? Can you go do all this? Or it's like it's more of like asking to do these tasks, even when maybe your life kind of like still has changed and stuff. So
That used to blow my mind. Like a relationship I was in the past, I would be at like a family function, and the girl I was with, like she would have to just walk off and start handing plates to people, and I was like, "What the hell are you doing?" And like we had that conversation. She was like, "Hey, it's an unspoken thing. Like I've always done it." I was like, "Okay, I understand that." And I think that like us having that conversation kind of made her kind of step back and look like, "Oh, maybe I don't always have to do it. Like there's other family members. Like I'm not the only sibling. Like other people can do it as well."
yeah, it's yeah. When you see it, you're like, okay. When you look back on it too, you're like, okay,
Yeah.
that's that and everything. And what sucks is that the women are the ones that are like, oh, you have to like take care of this, take care of that, and stuff. And I told Patty she's not gonna feed me enough. I need to go get up and serve my food.
Like I got myself. It's okay.
but but yeah, I don't know. It's interesting. What do you think about the story? The story, it kind of pissed me off sometimes, but
No, it played out as I was watching it. I was like, this plays out like a soap opera or a telenovela. Like they had moments of extreme, just outlandish shit, and then there were just calm moments. But there was always that subtle, or there was always that thought of like, oh, something crazy is about to happen. Like the father, it was reminiscent of Stand and Deliver, but the father having a heart attack because the mother cheated on him with a chocolate dude. That had me dying
Patty
laughing.
was like, Patty was like, that is not cool anymore.
Because like if you don't know what mulatto is, you're just like, oh, okay, she was with a dude, and it's like mulatto is a chocolate dude.
And
So
you
the
really
father
don't
was
know
pissed.
what if you don't know what that word is, you
Yeah,
don't know what they're referencing until like halfway through the
until they show
movie.
the photo.
Yeah, then
Yeah.
you're like, oh, that's what it means.
Hmm. That was one of those subtle, like, if you don't know, you don't know. So it was stuff like that, like the father just having a heart attack, and then the mother torturing Tita from the grave, just like popping up, being like, "You can't do that. You're cursed." I was uh, I was watching the newest season of True Detective yesterday, actually,
Oh, nice.
and it's heavily focused on the natives of this Alaskan town, and they have all this folklore of the dead. And so watching this and then watching that, I was like, oh wow, there's a lot of connections with the dead and the dead coming back to haunt or help. So I
Yeah,
did like that. Yeah.
the
But yeah, it
embodiment of
felt like a telenovela.
like family can either
Yeah.
be good to you or bad to you, and
Hmm.
even from beyond the grave.
Yes.
I don't know. For me, I enjoyed the movie. I enjoyed the story. Like I still love this movie and everything. And it's like, but then sometimes I'm like sitting there. It's like, man, like she just has to get over this guy Pedro. Like, who gives a crap, man?
Yes.
Like, like
Pedro had two children
and
with
then
her
also
sister.
the idea of like I want to be close to you, so I want to marry your
Yeah.
sister.
Marry
Like
your
I
sister.
like that doesn't work out, right? Like I
Huh? So you're in the next room sleeping with my sister, and I just have to listen to you
yeah,
guys,
and
but
then
you
be like,
love me.
yeah,
You
we
love me
love each
though.
other so much, and it's
Mm.
like, and you feel for I guess it's uh like you feel for the doctor where he's like, and
I didn't feel for
Patty
him.
was like, man, like
Nah, I didn't feel for that dude.
no, man.
No, he was a weirdo, man. Like he had the thought of getting with her the first time he met her, and then just held out for years and years, and then was like, "I can help you because you're a mute now because of something that you went through," and was like helping her back to health, and was just like, "Hey, let's get married. You're single, I'm single. Let's get married."
I know you love Pedro, but let's get married.
Yeah, I know you can cook
But
because this cooking that I've been eating is gonna kill
I
me.
know, right? That was
So
so
let's get married.
emphasis of that, where it's like, man,
Yeah,
whoever's cooking for me right now sucks.
yes. Just right to the woman's face, like this food sucks. Man.
I don't know, but like towards the end, you're like, all right, man, like okay, like finally they're together and
Yeah.
all this stuff, and it's like granted, like the whole story is like kind of like being driven for what you want and everything, and
Mhm.
being able to kind of like break out of the mold, as so to speak, and everything, and kind of go for what you want. You saw it on sort of on three different levels, where you saw the one sister that married Pedro kind of
Yeah.
continue tradition. She ends up looking like her mother towards the end, where like she
Yeah.
wears the same pendant, she wears sort of the same stuff and everything, and she kind of
Mhm.
becomes the madam of the ranch,
Yeah.
it seems like. And
And she wants to
then
force her youngest child to take care of her and
same
teach her.
thing, yeah, right?
That's old
And it
school,
ends up
lady. Wake
farting
up.
herself to death and everything.
Which was hilarious. Pedro doesn't love me anymore because I'm gassy and fat. Like, hey.
but then you see it on the other sisters, where it's like Tita like goes and lives her life and everything, and then
Mm-hmm.
her other sister ends up fighting in the revolution and stuff,
Thuggin.
but ends up being like disowned by the mother when she's still
Yeah.
alive, and so like that kind of sucks and everything, but she goes and decides to do what she wants to do, and is and also is the catalyst of like some of the story when she comes back, where it's like, oh, just say what you want and everything,
Yeah.
just do what you want and stuff,
Do
and so
whatever.
yeah, so
Tell Pedro you have his
that's
baby in your belly. Like,
I know, and
don't
then
hold that
I'm
back.
gonna leave.
Just let him know.
I don't know, do you see any negatives to this movie?
I I wouldn't say it's a negative. I think it's what we had talked about. It's us questioning tradition.
Mm.
So I didn't have any negatives for it. I think maybe the cinematography kind of just being consistent, nothing out of the ordinary. But other than that, yeah, I would just say us questioning tradition. But it's tradition, so we're not changing it.
For me, it's a little like nitpicky, but
Mm-hmm.
it's the flashbacks where like it almost kind of like convolutes the timeline, because you're like,
Mm-hmm.
where am I at? And it, I don't know. For me, it wasn't like, there was at one point where like she just picks up like a photo, and then it like magically kind of goes to where, I guess it's nice, but for me, I was like, where am I? Like, where am I in this story?
Yeah.
And then the end, when they're dancing, her and Pedro are dancing at the wedding,
Mm-hmm.
uh and I'm like, I was confused. I was like, Patty, like, are they married already? Like, are they, like,
Oh
what's going
yeah.
on? And so it's like you're almost kind of confused by that, but it's like I guess it's like that's how it's made, like to be kind of a little
Yeah.
confusing. You're like, oh, is it them? Is it their wedding? But then the doctor's there, and you're like, holy crap! And then
Everybody's old.
Yeah, everyone's old,
Yeah.
but Tina's not. Like, I was like, she still
Yeah.
looks
Tita looks exactly the
exactly
same. Like what?
yeah.
This woman just doesn't age because she cooks so well. Like, come on.
Hey, you never know, maybe.
Hey, she was making people horny with her food, so maybe.
Horny, cry,
Yeah.
and everything,
Yeah.
and yeah. So
Puke. Oh no, that was her sister that made everybody puke.
no.
Oh, that
After
was grandma's cake. That
yeah,
was grandma's
yeah.
cake.
After
Yeah,
she
yeah,
cried, yeah, they all puked too.
yeah.
Uh, so I guess it's like mine was the story kind of gets a little convoluted, but
Mm-hmm.
it's still great. Like, this movie is like, it's, I think it's like part of like the Mexican archives of
Oh
like
wow.
a I think this movie is great in showing a Mexican story that does
Mm-hmm.
not involve cartels, banditos. It
Yes.
kind of does,
Yeah.
but
But like low key. It's like
yeah.
subtle.
So this one actually like shows Mexico in its like true form, basically.
Yeah.
And so,
It shows a
and
romantic side of it.
yeah, and the food side of it, it's like, and
Yeah.
it's like that's sort of like what's most important to us, is that food can bring everyone together,
Mm-hmm.
and learning how to make those recipes.
Traditional dishes. Yeah.
Yeah, also bring you back to your family. Like you have the embodiment of like your previous ancestors kind of coming through you to make this food with you and stuff. So
Yeah.
um but I don't know. But would you recommend this movie, and who would you recommend it to?
Ooh. I would. I would say I don't know if I have anyone in particular I would recommend it to. I think it's one of those because this was my first time watching it, and I heard of it, uh, just being a movie lover, but it was never one that I was like, oh, I need to make sure I watch this as soon as possible. So I was happy when you and Patty added it to the list. But I would say if you're a movie lover, I know we had our romantic comedy and romantic films month in January, but I would still consider this a romantic film, and it shows it's a different language. It's different sides of a culture that not everybody knows. So anyone that is into a film that isn't too long, it's
True.
romantic, uh, great writing, and you're kind of learning Spanish a little bit because you have to read the subtitles. I think anybody would
So
be
you
into that.
you did watch it in Spanish, right? And then the
Yeah, yeah,
subtitles.
yeah.
Cool, because
Mhm.
they offer it in both. There's like a an English dub for the movie, and so
That's
Patty was
always
like,
weird.
yeah, Patty was like, you have like we have to watch it in Spanish and stuff,
Yeah.
and with the subtitles because you get. And for myself, I kind of know Spanish. Like I get some of it and everything, and you do
Hmm.
see where you hear some subtle differences. And fun fact, the guy that plays Pedro is
Hmm.
Italian
The
and
heck?
did not speak Spanish at all. That's not even his voice in the movie. They
Get
dubbed
the heck
over like
out of
a
here.
Spanish voice. Yeah, because
Cheating.
Patty read in an article that the director was like looking for the person that's supposed to play Pedro, and he
Hmm.
couldn't find anyone in Mexico that was as beautiful as the guy that actually plays Pedro.
Wow. Yo, that's crazy. I would never have guessed that. Yeah, that's
Yeah, me
crazy.
too. I was like, it actually like goes pretty
It
well and
worked.
everything. Like you don't even notice. But
Yeah. Well, Pedro didn't have many speaking parts, so that does make sense.
true. That is true.
All
Yeah,
he was doing is
he
having
kind of
sex.
does. Yeah, he's there, but yeah,
He's
he
just doing a
doesn't
lot of
speak that
staring.
much. Yeah,
Yeah, he's
staring
doing a lot of staring and
and then having heart attacks and
sleeping.
stuff. And
Yeah, burning houses on fire and like, come on.
but I think for me, I get the same emotion as like In the Mood for Love. In the Mood for Love is like a different because
Mhm.
like, the cinematography is like over the top for that
Yeah,
and everything. And then but I think you kind of get the same story. You get people interweaved in like this like triangle of love and
yeah.
everything and all this stuff. I told Patty, I was like, I think movies are a way for me to like experience emotions. And, like, and I think
Yeah,
this
it's
is
the
like
truth though.
this is how I can do that and stuff. And so if anybody loves In the Mood for Love or has seen In the Mood for Love, this is another movie that you can watch. If anybody wants to like learn like actual like culturally important things about Mexico, uh I think this one will show you that it's not just a bunch of drugs and some bad people and stuff.
Yeah,
Eh, so
it's
so
not Griselda
yeah, it's not all that
or
stuff
Narcos.
all the time,
Yeah,
but yeah, this one is a fun movie. It's only like an hour and 40 minutes, like you said. It's
yeah.
short, and so I think anybody that wants to have like a romantic night in and stuff, or whatever, and it is not opposed to watching or reading subtitles.
Hmm.
I think this is like a good movie, and you learn a little bit about Mexico and stuff and the culture.
Yeah,
And you can probably go to like a Mexican party, and you're like, "Hey, I saw this like in this. I've seen this food being made like rustically and stuff, and like by hand and everything." So you can kind of have that. But what did you end up giving the movie as a rating?
I gave it a 3.
Nice.
Yeah, I thought it was solid. Yeah.
I think it's like the cultural significance to me. It was like
Hmm.
I this is the second time I watched it, and I was like, I gave it a 4, and I was like, I think this is like a nice showing for Mexico and stuff, and so and I like it. Maybe it's like the novelas type of thing where it's like it's just like the story's pretty funny and stuff, and it's pretty or like dramatic and all that, uh but yeah, I think a good 4. I think if I watch it again, maybe it'll probably go down to like a 3.5, um but yeah, so it's fun times. But
I enjoyed it. Yeah,
yeah, it was good.
it's one of those ones. Yeah, it's one of those ones you at least have to watch once.
I think so. Yeah, I think that's true. But all right, Kai, you want to take us out?
Yeah, thanks for joining us for another episode of Saturday Night Popcorn. I'm Kai.
And I'm Jason, and we'll be back next week for another one. And please like and subscribe to Saturday Night Popcorn on YouTube, and please let us know in the comments of this video if you've seen like Water for Chocolate, if you liked it, disliked it, or what you thought about it.